Hello, all. A wonderful morning to all the participants who have joined the webinar today. You are looking at the product portfolio of endpoint management solutions under ManageEngine. So these are the list of solutions what we offer in endpoint management solutions under ManageEngine. And I'm going to extensively cover about the mobile device manager plus product today. So I welcome you all for the mobile device manager plus training program. My name is Ruben Karthik, and I'm a product specialist. I do the training and implementation for the endpoint management solutions. So here is our training schedule. It is a 3-week series, and we are in the last week of the training program, where I'm going to cover the modern management capabilities to manage your Windows 10 and Mac computers using our MDM solution. And first week, it was about the device onboarding, and second week it was about app management and device security provisioning. In case if you, the participants, have missed any of these training program, or if you'd like to revisit the training videos or the question and answers discussed during the training program, you can always visit the below mentioned URL. And all the registered participants will also get the recorded training video once after the webinar is over. So without any delay, let's get into the training agenda. So first, I'm going to give you a quick overview about Mobile Device Manager Plus product, like an introduction and what are the architecture and ports required to manage your end devices, and how exactly a mobile device or Windows laptop will be managed under MDM. So this section is important for those who are evaluating the solution or who are not familiar with our MDM. Once after giving an overview of MDM, then I'll demonstrate the ways of enrolling your Windows laptops into your MDM solution. First, I'll show you how to use the Azure Autopilot enrollment to onboard your laptops. Second, how to onboard your MacBooks using Apple Business Manager. Once after demonstrating how to add the devices or laptops into the MDM solution, how we can apply certain configurations or security policies to your lab devices. Followed by, I'll also demonstrate how securely you can distribute documents and install applications without the user intervention. And at the end of the training, I'll also share some real-time scenarios and the best solutions for it, what I have faced in my support experience. Meanwhile, if you, the viewers, have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat. We have an expert panel who can answer your questions right away. All right, the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. And these are the list of operating systems which are supported in our MDM. You get to manage iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks under our MDM solution. And these are the list of device type. For an iOS, you can manage iPhone, iPad, MacBooks, and Apple TVs can also be managed. Likewise, for Android, it would be Android phones and tablets. Now we also support Android TVs, which you can manage under this operating system. Likewise, for Windows Phone, Windows Tablet, Windows Laptop, and Surface and Chromebooks. So these are the list of devices and operating systems which are supported under the MDM module. And the mobile device management solution is offered in 3 flavors under our ManageEngine. One, as an integrated solution with Desktop Central. The Desktop Central is a solution, is a unified management solution using which you can manage or do the traditional management activities like patching, application deployment, imaging. Along with that, you also have the MDM module integrated with Desktop Central, so which is also available in cloud now. And we all, in case if you're looking dedicated solution just to manage the mobile devices, we have a Mobile Device Manager Plus, which is available on both on-premise and cloud. And if in case if you have any MSP audience today who wish to manage devices from different companies, then we also offer Mobile Device Manager Plus MSP, which is available on both on-premise and cloud. And we understand it is not just easy to manage your devices with just one application or one tool. That is the reason we leverage to integrate with as many applications as possible. So you can integrate the mobile device ManageEngine product with our own help desk solution called ManageEngine Service Desk Plus, and also with other help desk solutions like Spicework, Jira, Zendesk, ServiceNow. And we also offer the integration with our client relationship management software called Zoho CRM, and also an app development software called Zoho Creator. So these are the tools which you can integrate with our MDM solution. And in case if you are looking to integrate with any other solution apart from this, you can also use the API, the link which is mentioned below, to perform a seamless integration. Now, let me give you an explanation on the MDM architecture, how exactly an end device will be managed using our product. So there are three major components which plays a role in order to manage a device using our MDM. First, the MDM server. Second, the notification services. Third, the end device itself. So when you initiate a command, let's assume I would like to find out a location of a Windows laptop, or I would deploy an application to a MacBook. As an administrator, I will initiate that command from the MDM console, which in turn will be sent to the notification services. So if I would like to find out a location of a Windows 10 laptop, the Windows notification service will receive this command from the MDM, which in turn will wake up the end device using the UDID or the serial number, which in turn will contact the MDM server. So once the device contacts the server, it knows what command to process. And in this example, it will fetch the geo coordinates of the laptop and send back to the MDM server. As an administrator, I'll be able to see that location in the map. So this is how the workflow or the communication flow will be from the server to the device. So whatever command you initiate, it goes to the notification services and it wakes up the device, which in turn will contact the MDM server to process it. And for this, in case if you have an on-premise MDM solution, these are the list of ports which needs to be allowed in your network. The device will try to communicate with the MDM server using 9383 port, and the notification services and devices the notification service. In order to know more about the inbound or outbound port flow, you can always visit the below mentioned URL. And in case if you have an on-premise MDM and you don't wish to expose your internal MDM server, then we also offer an additional component called Secure Gateway, which will be reachable to all the internet devices. So this will act like a bridge between the internet devices and your internal MDM server. The devices will try to communicate to the secure gateway, which in turn will redirect the communication. So in order to know more about the architecture or how to implement the solution on your end, we do offer a free online demonstration. You can request for that in the comment section where a team can schedule it based on your availability. And at last, you can also wonder how exactly an end device is managed. As I said, this solution follows the client and server model. So you initiate a command from the server, it goes to the notification service, which in turn will contact the end device to perform the process, isn't it? So you need to have the MDM application installed in all the devices. When it comes to an iOS, Windows, or Chromebook, you don't need to necessarily install an application called any MDM app on the device. We just leverage the native OS client available on the device itself. So you just need to install the MDM profile on these devices. But when it comes to Android phones, you need to necessarily download and install an application. And there are a lot of different ways you can install the client on the devices, which was covered in the first part of the training series. And now, before I explain you the onboarding process of Windows laptops, let me take you to the product console and show you the modules and the tabs which are available under our MDM. So this is how the Desktop Central console looks like. As you could see, using Desktop Central, you can do the traditional management activities like patching, application deployment, inventory. Along with that, you also have the MDM module. And in case if you're looking for a standalone MDM solution, and this is how it looks like, under the home tab of the standalone MDM, you get to see the devices you manage, how many smartphones or how many laptops you manage. You could see the count under the home tab, and the OS specific details can also be seen. And if you are the super admin, and we also offer the role-based administration. So you might delegate a technician just to manage the laptops, another technician to take care of the iOS devices. And in case as a super admin, if you wish to see what are the actions the administrators or the technicians have performed, you could see those details under the audit log information. And under device management, here is where you could create policies, you can add applications, and even if you would like to distribute documents, you would do that from this particular section, which I'll also demonstrate in the upcoming slides. And inventory is where you can check the asset informations of the devices you manage, either a smartphone or a tablet or TVs. You can just use these filters, and based on OS or based on device type, and you could click on the device name in order to see a lot more information of that particular device. And enrollment is where you onboard your devices into the management scope. And there are different type of enrollment is available. As I said, in the first week of the training program, we discussed about the device onboarding, where we showed the different type of enrollment and the benefits of it. And reporting, there are certain predefined reports available, using which as an admin, you can select the reports and export them, or even you also have a scheduled report. For example, if you would like to know the applications deployed in a week and you want this report to be sent every Friday evening, you also have an option to schedule a report. And if you would like to build your own report, you can make use of the custom query reports. And you can also schedule the same custom reports on a periodic basis. And under admin tab, here is where you can create technicians and define roles to the technician and even a scope. Let's assume I'm creating a technician and would like to give an auditor role, and just to see or manage devices which is of Windows operating system, I can define it. So I can add a user, define a role to the user, and also define a scope to them. And you also have rebranding option. If you would like to keep your own company or organization's logo for this console, you do have an option here. So likewise, the basic administration activities can be done from this particular tab. And under support, you can reach our support team via live chat, which is a 24-bar channel. Using this option, you can get in touch with our team at any time from Monday to Friday. And you also have the toll-free number, and you can create a support 24/7. We do email support all the days. So these are the support options which you can make use of it. I just wanted to give you a quick walkthrough about the MDM solution before we get into the topic. Now, let me show you the onboarding process of your laptops using Azure Autopilot enrollment. I would say this technique is to enroll the laptops over the air. You don't need to, the user doesn't have to perform any additional steps to install the MDM profile, and we just need the serial number of the laptops to assign the MDM profile. Let me give you the workflow. First, you have to integrate your MDM server with Azure Active Directory. It could be a desktop central MDM or a standalone MDM or MDM cloud. You just need to integrate that with your Azure Active Directory. Once done, you can add the devices to the Business Store portal. Then after, distribute and activate the MDM profile on your devices. So this is the workflow for adding your Windows laptops using Azure enrollment. So first, to integrate the MDM server with Azure Active Directory, you need to have these three conditions met. The first prerequisite, in case if you have an on-premise solution, a third-party certificate has to be uploaded to your server for security purposes. Second, you need to have an Azure administrator account, and also you need to have an adequate Azure licenses and map to the groups or users. So only then you can add or onboard devices using the Azure Autopilot enrollment. So you will understand the prerequisites and the steps to perform this. So first, to integrate my MDM server with Azure portal, I'll go log into the Azure portal. I'll go to the Active Directory section where I'll procure the license. First, the administrator license has to be procured. So you can just click on license option, click on all products, then buy the premium license, which you can assign it to the required groups. So this is the first step which has to be done. Second, you have to add the MDM application to your Azure Active Directory. In order to add your application, in case if you have an on-premise solution, you need to go to the product, go to the enrollment section. You have Windows 10, under which you can see Azure Autopilot enrollment. And here also we have mentioned the steps which needs to be followed in order to onboard the devices through the Azure Autopilot enrollment. So first, as it says, you need to purchase the adequate license. Even if you click on this help article, this takes you to the step-by-step procedure in order to add the license. Once done, you have to configure the app template in Azure. So here you can see the MDM terms of use URL and MDM discovery URL, which has to be updated on the Azure portal. So this is an on-premise MDM. Let me show you the steps to integrate this particular server with your Azure enrollment. So I'll go to Home tab, Mobility, MDM, and Map. I'll click on Add Application. And since I'm going to integrate the on-premise MDM, I'll click on this option. You can even give a name based on your requirement. So you can give your own organization's name here, like say a Zilker, a ManageEngine MDM likewise, and click on Add. Once the application is added, now comes to update the app details, the app templates into the Azure Active Directory portal. So whatever information it prompts here, you can just choose the terms of use URL from our product. You just need to copy paste these information, and MDM discovery URL is also mentioned under our product. Just copy these details, save these informations into the Azure portal. Once done, if you wish to expose this API for performing an integration with any other tools, you do have an option under the same configure section. Click on Expose API and provide our MDM application ID here. So you have the app ID URL. So you can just copy this information and update over here. So this is how you add your application to the Azure Active Directory and click on Save. In case if you have an MDM cloud, if you are a desktop central cloud user or an MDM cloud user, you can just search for ManageEngine MDM in your Azure portal. So we already have these options available in the business store. You can just search for ManageEngine MDM, click on Add, and automatically all these informations are pre-configured. Even the API has been exposed. You can just click on Save to complete the integration. So first, you need to integrate your MDM server with Azure portals. So you need to have the license, update the app details, and click on Save. Once that is done, in order to add the devices to the Microsoft Business Store portal, you can log in using your administrator account to the Microsoft Store and go to the Manage section, choose Devices, and before you add the devices to the Microsoft Business Store portal, you have to create a profile. Profile is used to customize the startup settings. So as we know, as an administrator, we don't want the users to manually do any activation settings when we distribute or when we hand over the laptops to them. So here is where you customize the activation settings as per the business requirement, and then you can distribute your devices. So for example, you can skip the Cortana or OneDrive settings initially. And even if you would like to skip the privacy settings, you can turn it off. And let's assume I might distribute these laptops to my contract employees, and I don't want them to create or disable the administrator account on the device, then I'll turn it off. Likewise, you can also skip the end user license agreement. So based on the requirement, you can customize these activation settings and create a profile. Once the profile is created, then comes adding the devices to the business store portal. You can either manually click on add devices and update the device details. If not, even using the CSV import, you can upload the device details and refresh the list, which brings up all those information. So in the CSV file, you have to mention the device model and the serial number. In case if you purchase brand new laptops, the manufacturer, the vendor itself would have given you these details. You just need to upload the CSV into the store portal. Once the devices are added, then you can select the device and apply it to the profile which we created. So once the profile is applied to the device, the end user just needs to turn on the device, which will automatically have the MDM profile, and also the activation settings will be skipped based on the profile we created. So this is it. You just create a deployment profile in the Microsoft Business Portal and add the device and apply the profile to them. So once this is done, you could see the laptops getting listed under the enrollment section, and which will be pending to assign the user. So we have made the onboarding process into two stages. One, enrolling the MDM profile. Second is the user assignment. This has become a mandatory process. For example, we, the IT administrators, would have already got all the laptops, and it will be either available on the store or in our inventory. And whenever a new employee joins the organization, or if a new user requests a laptop, only then we are going to assign the user and then distribute. That is the reason we have split it up. So first, whenever laptops are purchased in bulk, you can have the MDM profile applied to it. And when it is ready to use, when the user requests for an additional device, or when a new employee requests for a laptop, at that particular time, you can just go to the stage section and assign a user to the appropriate laptop. And moreover, we also have a bulk user assignment. Let's assume there are 100 new employees are joining the organization, and already these 100 laptops have the MDM profile, which is only waiting for the user assignment. In such scenario, you can download the sample CSV file, update the username, email address, and group name if you wish, because there are group-based policies which can be deployed. So update these details in the sample CSV and re-upload them, which will automatically assign the user to the laptops and also map them to the appropriate group. So once a device is added to the group, whatever configuration or whatever application being distributed, it will be automatically applied to the added device. So this is how you can add or enroll your laptops using the Azure Autopilot enrollment. Now, let me show you the enrollment of MacBook using Apple Business Manager. So the Apple Business Manager integration was also covered in the first part of the training, but let me quickly give you the process which needs to be followed. So you can go to the enrollment section, and for MacBooks, you can go to Apple enrollment. And here you can add your MDM server with Apple Business Manager. You just need to click on Add Server and then log into your Apple Business Manager using an ABM account. And you will have a certificate file which you can download from our MDM. So download the certificate file and add your server details under the ABM portal. So for adding your MDM server, go to Settings section, Device Management Settings, and you can add your own MDM server details. And once the Once after adding your MDM server information in ABM portal, you can download an S token and re-upload back to our product. So this is how it's like a two-way handshake. You get the certificate file from our MDM, upload it in Apple Business Manager portal, get an S token and upload back here. So this is how you trust your MDM with Apple Business Manager portal. So once after you integrate, you can also perform the same customization option for your MacBook. I've already integrated my MDM server with ABM. Let me show you the customization settings alone. So here you have the option, skip these configurations during device setup. Since I'm going to talk about MacBooks, I'll click on this option and you can skip the setting of file vault or storage or Apple registration when the device is activated. And also, if you like the users to add their accounts, you can even choose this option. Either you can allow them or you can choose no, so that the users will not be able to add any account details apart from what the administrators have configured. So likewise, you can integrate and customize the activation settings. Once done, in order to assign the MacBooks or in order to assign the MDM profile to your MacBook, you can go to the device assignment section, update the serial number of your MacBook and choose action, assign to server. And here you can choose the MDM server, what you have added to your ABM portal. Same case, if you have purchased MacBooks in bulk and if you have the CSV file, which has the serial number of your MacBook, you just need to upload the CSV file and choose the action and assign to the appropriate server. So this is how you integrate your MDM with Apple Business Manager portal and assign the MDM profiles. So these are the two procedures. Maybe I would say this is the enrollment procedure over the air just by using the serial number. Once after the MDM profile is assigned to these devices, either a MacBook or Windows laptops, the end user just needs to power on the laptop or the device. They just need to turn on the device, which will automatically have the MDM profile applied to them. So this is how you can onboard your devices. In case if you have any questions related to this, please feel free to post them in the chat and our expert panel team can answer your questions. Moreover, you can go to any of these tabs, click on the help article, which takes you to the procedure of integrating and how to add the devices. And you also have the demo video, so you can refer to this and add your devices into the management scope. So like a quick overview, you integrate your MDM server with Apple Business Manager, add the devices to the portal, then distributes, which is similar to the Azure Autopilot enrollment. So now we have added the devices into the MDM solution. Now let me show you how you can apply certain basic corporate policies to your laptops, such as Wi-Fi, or how we can configure email accounts onto your laptops. And in case if this is a point of sale devices, how we can lock your laptops with certain applications alone, and how effectively you can configure the security policies to your laptops. So for that, I'll go to the device management section. You can create groups based on your requirement. For example, I have created a group for contractors, for customer relationship department, for finance department. Likewise, you can create group based on devices, based on users, because sometimes a user might have both smartphone and a laptop. So likewise, you can create a group based on the users. If not, if you have an Active Directory based domain setup, you can also import the AD groups into our MDM solution, which might help you to apply policies. So this is how we can create group. And now to show you the policies related to Windows laptop, I'll go to the profile section, Windows profile. You can give a name so that you'll know what purpose you have created the profile. And apart from the Active Directory authentication, in case if you have a domain-based network and if you use the AD authentication for your Windows laptops, you can actually define the passcode strength. So how much length a passcode should be and how frequently they have to change the password. For example, if my organization enforces me to apply a passcode with these configuration, they have to change every 90 days. And if in case, if any user who enters a passcode wrongly for more than 6 times, then it do a reset. So in case if the device is lost or stolen and my company doesn't want to lose the corporate information on the laptops, then I will configure these options so that if an end user or a user who has the device tries to enter a passcode wrongly for more than 6 times, it do a reset, a complete wipe on the laptop. So that is about passcode policy. And then you can configure restriction based on requirement. Let's assume as a security policies, I don't want my users to share files via USB devices, then I do have an option. And if you wish to prevent the users from doing a reset, I can go and enable this option. And the Wi-Fi should always be on. Then I'll choose allow automatically configure this Wi-Fi profile. And if I wish to restrict the users from changing the date and time and connecting to the USB devices, I can just go and enable these options. So based on the business requirement, you can either allow or even the location services, if it has to be always on, you can just choose the options to restrict. The users will not be able to turn off the location services on the laptops. Likewise, based on business requirement, you can configure certain restrictions to your Windows laptop. And Wi-Fi, you can also create Wi-Fi profiles to your devices. And the best part here is automatically when the laptops comes within the corporate range, it automatically gets connected. But if if the laptop belongs to this particular Wi-Fi range, it gets auto-connected, and you can choose the protocol or the security tab used. And not just with one profile, you can even add multiple Wi-Fi profiles under the same tab, and you can distribute. So you can even add multiple Wi-Fi profiles like this. And as I said, automatically when the device comes within this range, it gets auto-connected. And if you wish to use a certificate-based authentication, you do have an option for that. So you can just choose the protocol type to be EAP and upload the certificates, which will authenticate the devices to connect to this particular Wi-Fi profiles. So likewise, you can add any number of Wi-Fi profiles to your laptops and distribute. And VPN, since we know after the Microsoft have introduced the major changes in their Windows 10 operating systems, especially the API framework, which resembles to the mobile devices. So you can remotely configure VPN, email accounts, exchange active things. Likewise, how you manage a mobile device, the same way you'll also be able to do the model management activities to your laptops using your MDM. So in case if you're looking for a complete endpoint solution, then you can have the desktop central, which is also available on cloud. Like apart from the patching, like installing security updates and application, you can also make use of these policy configurations like VPN and Exchange Active Sync configuration. Let's assume my company use Pulse Secure as the VPN client. I can just update the server name and details, and also I'll choose per app VPN. So only when my users open Outlook and I want the laptops or the devices to automatically connect to the corporate VPN, then I'll choose with per app VPN and choose the app. And I'll save the profile. So likewise, you can add your details or the profile details based on the business requirement, and you can distribute. And even if you wish to configure your Exchange Active Sync remotely to all your Windows laptop, and you do have an option to create a profile here. Mention either you use an Office 365 or an Exchange on-premise and update the server details. And automatically, when you distribute this profile, let's assume I'm distributing this Exchange profile to my contract employees or say finance department. So I'll save a profile. Once after the profile is saved, I'll go to the groups and devices section. I'll select the group and I'll choose associate profile. And here you could see a lot of profiles because as an administrator, you might manage smartphones, tablets, and laptops. So you can actually use the filters, and even you can make use of the search option and deploy this profile to your groups. So when this profile is created to the customer relationship department, whichever user gets added to this group will automatically have all the configuration, right? From passcode, restriction, Wi-Fi, and also like per app VPN or Exchange Active Sync, all of those configuration will get automatically applied to the newly added members too. And moreover, you also have the option to import your group policies into our management scope and distribute. So you can migrate the group policies into our MDM and distribute to the end devices. You can also click on this Learn More, which shows you the process of importing the group policies into our MDM. So these are certain examples which I would like to share it in the training today related to the profiles to your Windows laptop. Now, let me show you some profiles to your MacBook, and this is how exactly your laptop or Surface Hub screen will look like if you apply the kiosk profile. Kiosk is where you can lock your devices with single app or multi-application. If you choose multi-app and lock your devices with just these applications, and this is how the screen looks like. So whatever app you distributed from our solution can only be accessed by the end users. This might be ideal when you distribute this to your interns or contract employees, where they are restricted to use these applications alone on the end devices. Now, let me show you the policies related to Mac computers. So you can go to the same device management section, profiles, create a profile for your Mac OS. So same way you can create a passcode profile to your MacBook and include the number of special characters and these failed attempts which will do a factory reset. Likewise, you can configure the passcode policy related to your security norms defined by your organization. And restriction, likewise, you can also restrict camera security related, where you can restrict the iTunes file sharing from MacBook, and storing the data in iCloud can be restricted. Likewise, based on your business requirement, you can restrict certain settings on the MacBooks you manage. Wi-Fi VPN will be the same story. These are the list of VPNs which is support for MacBook. Per app VPN is a separate profile we have, so you can just choose the app name, or you can update the app details here and configure your VPN settings based on the requirement. And as you might wonder, so what if someone breaks into your Mac machine and get holds of the corporate data? So we have this file vault encryption and firmware protection for your MacBooks. So you can actually encrypt your MacBooks using our product. So you can choose whether to encrypt your MacBooks using a personal recovery key, and if you wish to expose this key to your end users, you can choose the option as yes. In case if you wants to go with an institutional level recovery key with a certificate authentication, then you can choose this option. But I would recommend you to go with the combination of both personal and institutional level recovery keys in order to encrypt your MacBook. Moreover, firmware password protection will enforce the end users to enter this particular passcode, what you update here, when they try to boot or turn on the computer using an external storage device. So this prevent even if any hacker or if any users tries to unlock your MacBook using an external device. So this will demand a passcode to be entered. So, and you can, as an administrator, you could also see these information from the inventory section. Go to the inventory tab. and use the filter. So these are the laptops which I managed using this particular solution. And you can click on the MacBook, which shows it's a laptop and MacBook Pro with these version. And under security settings, in case if you have enforced this file vault or format password details, you could see those information. And if your employee asks for a password, a format password details for testing purpose, or the file vault encryption key, as an administrator, only you can see that from our inventory devices section and share it with the end user. So now I've shown you what are the profiles which you can configure to your MacBooks and Windows laptops. Now let me show you how you can distribute applications to your devices. So first, let me show you how you can distribute the apps to your MacBook using Apple Business Manager. As you know, the same workflow, you might have already integrated my MDM with Apple Business Manager portal. I need to just approve or purchase application from the ABM portal, then I can distribute to the devices. So here, when it comes to app distribution, you have a separate option called apps and books section. Search for the required application. Let's assume I wish to distribute the Zoho meeting application to all my MacBook. This is a conferencing tool. So I can just search for the required app, click on the app name, and you must verify whether you have this option enabled for these applications. Only then you could silently deploy these applications to your managed devices. So I'll choose Zoho Meeting and I'll select which server to distribute. And I can also mention the number of devices for which I'm going to distribute the Zoho Meeting application. So I'm going to distribute this to my 100 MacBooks. I'll just mention the quantity and click on Get. Once this is selected, you can go to device management section, app repository. I can either add the application from Apple App Store by manually selecting the app name within this section. But when I add an application from here, I'll not be able to silently install application. I can only distribute to the app catalog, which is like a self-service portal option on the managed device end. Like an app catalog is an option available inside the ManageEngine MDM app. So this is how it looks like. The users can just find or select these applications based on their requirement and they can install. But if you're looking to silently install application, then you need to add your ABM server with our MDM solution. So you can add your app details. And once the app is purchased or added from the ABM portal, then you can click on Sync, which fetches all the apps being added. Once the app is added to the app repository, then you can go to Groups and Devices section. Either you can select the group. If not, you can select the individual device. Let's assume I want to test this particular Zoho Meeting app, which I have added from the ABM portal on a particular device. So first I would like to check whether the silent deployment works. So select this particular device, choose action, distribute application, and I'll search for the required app. So once if I could silently deploy the application to my test device, then I'll go to Groups and Devices section, select the appropriate group, and then I'll distribute the applications in bulk to my production devices. So this is how you can integrate your ABM portals with our ManageEngine MDM. Once done, you can add your application from the ABM portals under Content, Apps and Books section and sync the app details. Now let me show you for the Windows application, how we can integrate with Microsoft Business Store and add applications from there. So to install the stored application silently, you can go to the app repository section, Windows app, and click on Login Now, which asks you to provide your administrator account. So this automatically takes you to the Microsoft Store portal. Using your administrator account, You can accept the terms and condition. Once done, automatically the ME-MDM application will be distributed to your devices. So once you activate the business store integration with our MDM, it automatically start to distribute the ME-MDM client app onto all your devices. And now, if you wish to add any other application through the business store portal, you can log in using the same administrator account to your business store portal. Before we went to the manage section to add devices, now to add application, you need to click on shop for my group, click on apps, search for the required application, and just click on get the app. Same procedure. So you integrate, search for the application, click on get the app, then it automatically gets added to your MDM and start to sync. So this is how you add your business store applications to your MDM, and once done, you can go and start distributing to your devices. So I can see the list of applications being added to the app repository. Even if you want to use a filter in order to find out what are the apps being added through this particular mode, you can apply the filter, find out these are the applications being added from the Microsoft Business Store, and I can go to groups and devices section to distribute. If you wish to customize these app details, you can also click on the app name, go to the configuration section, and customize the app information from here. So this is for a business store application. In case if you have the MSI or Apex file with you, how you can distribute such application to your devices. Same way, you can go to app repository. You can go to add application. So it's something where you first add your application to the repository section. So I'll choose Windows Enterprise App now. And these are the file types which we support in order to distribute your Windows devices. And same way, you might have seen a separate option for MSI. So you also have an option to upload your MSI file and distribute to your laptops from our MDM itself. So now let me show you how we can add an Apex file. So you just need to search for the Apex file, which will automatically verify the app details. So it gets uploaded and automatically fills all the information related to the application into our product. So as you can see, I just uploaded the Apex file, which automatically predicts the app name and the app version. And if it requires a dependency file, you can also add these files to your application. So first, I'll just add the dependency file. It will start to validate this as well. And in case if this dependency file must certain configuration, then it will give a prompt here itself. So let's assume the dependency file doesn't have all the configurations required. So I'm just re-uploading the complete dependency zip file, which will validate. And then I can even give a description to this application. So based on the business requirement, you can add your files and distribute. So all, as you could see, this validates and also says that all the required files have been uploaded successfully. I can just click on next. And you can mention the app details. And if you wish to configure certain additional details to your application, you can also mention, for example, to automatically configure the username or email address when an application is distributed. You can update those key values and save this application to your repository. So this is how you add your own enterprise application to your repository, to the MDM app repository. Once the applications are added, then you can go to groups and devices section, select individual device. I would recommend you to test this app deployment on 1 or 2 devices first, and then you can go to a group-based deployment. So this is how you can add application and distribute your devices. So in case if you have any questions related to app deployment or profile distribution, please feel free to comment in the chat and our team can help you. Now I'll show you how securely you can distribute corporate information to your managed devices. So we have this feature called content management, using which you can distribute documents, audio, video, and images to your managed devices. And as a security policy, the users can view these documents only within the MDM application. And also, you can restrict the clipboard functionalities, and transferring these files to the personal documents can be completely restricted. So let me add a document. So let's assume this is a company policy document related to the MDM, and I wish to transfer this to all my devices. Then I'll just add, and you can also give a tag and add the application to the repository. And once the document is added, you select the document and share it with your required devices. Either you can go with device-based sharing. If not, you can select the appropriate group and share this document. And as an end user, they can see the document from the ManageEngine application. This is how the app looks like on the laptops. So I can click on content management. I can download the required document. And once the document is downloaded, I could see the files within this particular application. And as you could see, the copy paste functionalities and the clipboard functionalities will be disabled by default. So as an end user, they could only see this as in a read-only format. And then I can also, as an administrator, can just restrict the sharing of files from the ManageEngine MDM to the personal application. So this is how I can securely distribute corporate information to my end users. So now we have come to the last part of the training, where I would like to share some real-time scenarios and the solutions for it. So meanwhile, as I stated, if you have any specific questions related to the modern management style for your Windows laptop and MacBook, please feel free to post them in the chat. So I've taken the first scenario. For example, if you use an Active Directory in organization to manage users, and is it possible to remotely add MacBooks enrolled through MDM to your organization AD? Yes, we support a profile now. So you can go to profile management, create a profile for MacBook. Then you have AD asset binding. So you can choose to which OU or to which domain you want to add these devices to. You can just update those details. And if you wish to authenticate the access, let's assume I want my Mac users only to get into the laptops or MacBook only if the domain controller is accessible, then I'll choose the network option. So when any Mac user tries to log into their MacBook, and if they're not connected to the VPN or corporate network, then the access will be denied. In case, since we are adapting to the remote work from home scenarios or work culture, if you wish to give access to anywhere, not only when they're connected to the domain, then you can choose mobile as an option. So the user can connect or log into the MacBook either if the domain controller is accessible or if not. So this is how you can add your MacBooks to your domain and configure device access settings. So if you'd like to read about these informations in detail, not just about the area asset binding, even about format passcode or file vault encryption to your MacBooks, you can just click on the payload and you will see the help option at the right hand side. You can just click on help article, which gives you a complete information about that particular payload option. So even now, if you wish to know about the AD asset binding, you can click on help, which talks about the AD asset binding and what are the options which needs to be configured. That's the first scenario I would like to share. And second, is it possible to restrict the unauthorized access to your Office 365 application? Yes, it is possible now using our MDM. We have the conditional access supported for Office 365 application also. So which makes sure only the registered devices gets access to your Office application. This is supported only for Windows devices now. So meaning if any user tries to access your Office 365 applications without the MDM profile, then their access will be restricted. So you can just create that you can update your office details under the Azure portal and enforce the policy. So as you could see, when you apply this policy to your MDM solution, then this gets applied to all the devices. And even if you wish to define a scope, you can update those information into your Azure portal. But ultimately, this ensures only the registered devices have access to your Office applications. Third scenario, is it possible to find out the current locations of your laptops? Yes, using our modern management features in MDM, you can also find out the current locations of your laptops. So for that, go to the inventory section, go to devices. I'll apply the filter just to bring down the laptops alone. So you can just click on the device name, go to geo tracking. Here you could see the current locations of your laptops. And apart from finding the locations of your laptops, you could also enable or remotely do these on-demand action using your MDM. So for laptops, you can completely wipe or do a corporate wipe. This will remove only the enterprise-related documents or policies or application, which is distributed through our ManageEngine MDM. So corporate wipe will remove only the workspace or enterprise-related settings on the device in, whereas complete wipe will do a factory reset. It will do a format on your managed laptops. And location data gives you the complete location informations of all your devices. This is a one map, a single map where you can find out the device locations. And fourth scenario, does MDM on-premise offer options to prevent data loss due to server downtime? Yes, we also support the failover server, so which actively monitors the status of the primary server. So you have the failover server under setting up MDM section. So this is a licensed component. So this actually monitors the live status of your primary MDM. And if the primary MDM server goes down, the secondary failover server will automatically comes up, which maintains a zero downtime when it comes to the production environment. So there are certain prerequisites, which in case if you'd like to know about setting up the failover server, or if you want a technical assistance on implementing the solution, like I said, we also offer a free online demo or a free setup assistance. You can always comment in the chat section for it. And the fifth scenario, is it possible to decide the data being fetched and displayed by MDM? And will the same be informed to our user? As we know, after this GDPR law has been passed, our MDM also are in compliance with these standards. Let me quickly show you that. So our MDM lets you to achieve these compliance in your organization like HIPAA or GDPR. In case if you'd like to know more about this standard as well, you can just click on this link. So we actually let the administrator to decide what are the information needs to be captured from your MDM tool. So you can go to the admin section, device privacy, and you can customize what information you would like to collect from your end devices, whether to get the phone number or location history. And even if you wish to remotely wipe your devices, you can just enable what are the commands or what are the information you wish to distribute or apply to your devices can be configured from the admin device privacy section. And moreover, you can apply this policy either only to the BI/OD devices or to both corporate owned and company or personal owned devices. So as an administrator, you can decide what information to be pulled out from the BI/OD devices and the company owned device. And as I said, will this information be informed to the users? Yes. From the ManageEngine MDM app, they can go to the privacy policy and they can see what are the informations we collect from our MDM application to the server. So I can see this information and the users will also know about this. And the next scenario, what are the options available to secure the MDM on-premise server? So first, since this is a port-based access, you can determine only the commands or only from certain IP address the server can be launched. You do have an option to customize the server console access in such a way. So only from the registered IP address or only from certain subnets, the console can be accessed. That is one thing which is applicable for the MDM on-premise. Second, you have the Active Directory authentication. So whoever wants or the administrator who wish to get access to the console can only use their Active Directory authentication. So when I add a user, I can choose AD-based authentication to get into the product console. If not, we also have the two-factor authentication, either using Google Authenticator. If not, a one-time passcode will be sent to the registered administrator email address. So using this authentication method, the registered administrator can get into the console, because whoever has access to the MDM console can see the location and the device details. So there are certain secure documents can also be distributed to the end user. So we have the AD-based authentication and two-factor authentication to the console access. And the seventh scenario, is it possible to secure the personal information when we export a report or when we even send out these reports to the auditing purpose? Is it possible to mask these personal information? Yes. We also have the option under admin, export settings. So as an administrator, you can choose whether to mask or hide these personal information when you export these details to your MDM server, or only when you use the reporting, you can just make use of this. For example, I don't want to hide these information who has access to the console. From the MDM server, I can see the personal information, but when we export these reports or auditing purpose, then at that particular time, I want to mask the information, then I'll just save the settings this way. I'll go to the inventory tab. Let's assume it has serial number and email address. So when I export these details, so I can modify the setting for this particular administrator account. So that will work only for the scheduled reports. Only when I get these reports on email, then it will mask those information. So let me rerun the report. So as I said, inventory is a dashboard where you could see all the asset information. This might be helpful even for auditing purposes. So you could know which user is mapped to which device and what OS it runs on. So you can even get these reports by using certain filters. Let's assume I would like to find out the laptop's been managed. I'll use a filter like this, and then I'll export this information. So now when I see this report, I could see the personal username and email address, it's all been masked, and even the serial number is been hidden. So this is how you can determine or choose whether to mask this information when you download or export these reports using our MDM section. So these are the scenarios which I felt to share with you on today's training. In case if you have any other question, please feel free to post them in the chat. And that's all, we have come to the end of the training program. Please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 is the best. If you like our training program, please spread your word with the hashtag mobile device manager plus and /ManageEngine. And I thank each and everyone for joining the webinar even in this outbreak situation. I request everyone to stay safe, take care of each other and your family, be safe. We'll keep you updated on the next training schedule via email. I thank each and everyone once again.